Well, those prompts were brutal but brilliant, and now we move on to another brilliant moment.
They actually did really well.
We're gonna get to crush the key on
Unironically.
Wardy, explode or bend.
Explode. I'm explode all the way this weekend.
Or every single key.
Snap
Every
it,
key is
Shin.
gonna explode apart from the winners.
Snap him up.
Which
doesn't get crushed.
Yes, does not get touched. Yes, correct. All right, well.
Oh my god.
They're all going to be explode. People are just going to keep going. Just keep pressing that button forever. Brutal.
Yes,
He's having so much fun.
Yeah, it's surprising because you'd think the Zergs with their key repeat rate would just tap it. But they don't. They hammer it.
All right, well, let's get on to our
Great
next
segment.
Well
That's a
done,
deep
guys.
cut,
Well done.
Wardy.
Let's talk about a Zerg. As we've got ourselves good old Rogue, a previous world champion, going up against HeRoMaRinE.
But yes, we're getting into Rogue versus HeRoMaRinE, and yeah, when it comes to the Pictionary, honestly, I was really impressed. Like, they did so much better than Showtime and Serral. Like Showtime and Serral, they struggled. They struggled so much when it comes to their drawings. But Tasteless and Artosis, you can tell that they've got years of just spending long nights together, where they're synced up, like mentally. They're there. They're synced up with each other, and they did well. I was impressed.
If I were to give a prediction, I would say that Rogue probably 3-1. In my heart, though, I want to give HeRoMaRinE maybe 2 maps.
Yeah, I mean, the previous series subverted my expectations after a 0-2, so we could see things happen. But how about yourself, Wardy? What do you think for this one?
Yeah, I think.
But it's gonna have just like pro wrestlers with pirate theme songs. If only.
Stop that, and I think that's going to be the problem for HeRoMaRinE. So I think Rogue's going to have.
That was the best part
edge.
about
I
SSL.
do not know how good Rogue is going to look against Mech, though. So that's maybe my concern. I think if HeRoMaRinE does better than the 3-1 that ZG suggests, because I'm kind of on board with that, I think it's through the Mech play. So that's kind of where I think we're going.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we look back to HeRoMaRinE's mech play against Lambo, that first series you identified it very well. ZG getting cornered, problematic. But in the second series, you had way more room to work with. So if you could find some of that, maybe there's a chance. What are your thoughts?
No, I think there's actually a very strong chance. I think that might actually be what kind of, I don't want to say defines this series, but it's the
Let's go!
that might change
Lost Fantasy for the first time. Let's go! Game 1. What are these vetoes?
So it's the Cyclone meta has not been super
We got Lost
powerful,
Fantasy.
so
We
there's
got
tournaments,
torches.
as many Zergs
Leyline's talking about
saying,
Persephone.
and that could be
Let's
something
go!
that HeRoMaRinE really hammers home, especially if Rogue
Crazy
shows any
vetoes.
weakness to it.
Wardy?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the mech is definitely one thing to look at. I think it's just interesting because Rogue usually has crazy answers to these things as well. I mean, Rogue had a really cool answer where he kind of went late Swarm Host against mech about a few months ago, so maybe we could see something like that, but that was also much slower mech, right? So HeRoMaRinE yesterday's success was in the speedy mech, the Banshees flying around, the Cyclones being on the map, so it should be a fun matchup. I definitely feel like Rogue's got it, but we'll see.
Yeah, those Banshee follow-ups, like having 4 Banshees with a cloak, whatever, really does put a spanner in the works, per se. But anyway, it is time as we have Rogue going up against HeRoMaRinE.
Take it away, stage hosts.
Welcome back to the S&B Esports Arena. We have another set of keys, one of them on the line, one of them getting crushed, but we've got 2 incredible players fighting to stay in the event.
That's right, the second series of the day brings pedigree and power. Ladies and gentlemen, a former world champion coming up against the European Iron
Is he wearing
Wall.
2 watches?
It's Rogue versus HeRoMaRinE.
Wait, what? Maybe it's just
little, reveals less, and dismantles everything. Terran beware, the swarm follows Rogue.
HeRoMaRinE was yesterday's MVP with wins over Estrella and Lambo in play-ins and a tough series against Serral. He's got to fight like his namesake to stay in it. A Falcon versus a Mouse is usually a foregone conclusion, but a Rogue versus a Marine remains to be seen. Let's pit them together and find out who wins.
Do you think they stay up all night coming up with puns? Do you think that's God damn it. I appreciate it. But Seltzer and Sandstorm, they have fun with their hosting. Someone get Ice Down out there. True. Get him out there, Bobby. Get him out there. But I think Sandstorm, he's got like an Apple Watch on one hand, and he's got I think it's just a bracelet on the other. But it was looking like another watch. God damn it. Let's go. Either that or he's worried he'll accidentally drop his nice watch in the crusher. He needs to know what the time is. Exactly. He needs to know. It's time for StarCraft, baby. Let's go. And again, I was exclaiming earlier, I mean, the videos here are going to be crazy. For the first time tonight, we get to feature Lost Fantasy. If you remember, yesterday we were referring to how we expect to see Fantasy at some point today, just because of the best of fives, right? In best of fives, you see Lost Fantasy a lot more often, so we get to embrace it here and now. This is, of course, a 3-player pool map. This is the most vetoed map in the map pool, and we get to see it finally for the first time here at EWC 2025. Now, last time we saw this from Gabe was Gabe versus Lambo. I think it was even their final game in the EWC qualifiers, but here we go. We're jumping on in, and we're able to see the intro. Let's go. I didn't even know this little hut was there. But we actually get to show off the intros. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lost Fantasy, we have that mind. As looks like we might have a bit of a technical issue early on. Looks like maybe an audio issue. But thankfully it does occur at the start of the game, at the start of the series, so we can resolve this and then move forward into the rest of our matchup. As we're about to jump into our ZvT. If you're in the chat, predictions will be open once the game starts. Once we get there, then we'll be opening up those predictions. I'll try to make sure I don't forget. I'll try to make sure. And again, when it comes to this matchup, it's going to be a really interesting one. As you were pointing out, I do agree that, like, Gabe, he was showcasing a lot of mech yesterday against Lambo, which we don't often see, and that might catch Rogue off guard. We have seen Rogue drop maps and drop series to mech before in the past, but the scary thing about that is that Rogue has had time to study, right? They've had a night, they've had a day where they've known that they're going to be each other's opponents coming into day 2 of EWC, so Rogue, I'm sure if he wasn't watching it live, I'm sure he checked the VODs of Gabe versus Lambo, and now on the forefront of his mind is going to be mech. Right, that was showcased very clearly from HeRoMaRinE against Lambo earlier, so Rogue, it's already in his mind, I'm sure. As we are jumping into game number 1, and spawning in the bottom right corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player. We have the red Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Assuming they introduce the players. There we go. And spawning on the top side of Lost Fantasy, we have our German Terran player. We have the blue Terran. It is HeRoMaRinE. For Mouse. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. I know Gabe has a lot of fans. I know, I mean, deservedly so. He's the big boy himself. As it does go CC first from the side of the Terran player, but Rogue is a previous world champion, of course, and Rogue, he is going to be coming in as, I would say, the favorite player. We'll see if Gabe can pull a fast one over on Rogue. Let's go. But already Gabe going CC first, cutting some corners, going for a greedy opener, and Rogue himself going hatch gas pool. Yeah, hatch gas pool out of Rogue. So standard opener out of our Zerg player, and something more greedy out of our Terran. We'll see where this takes us. Also, I just realized, am I crazy? We did not have a. I just realized they didn't have a losers interview for Beyond. They might still have one after, but yeah, it's interesting that they interviewed Trigger, but they didn't interview Beyond. Huh. Okay. I mean, I'm okay with that because I mean, you know as well. I'm not very fond of the losers interviews. Not very fond of it, but if they still do, I at least appreciate that they might be giving the player time to gather their thoughts and to, you know, wind down from the series. If that's the case, then I'm fond of that. I prefer that, actually, but we'll see. Regardless, really, it's that we're going to have the losers interview with Björn, but he just left. he just left the building, went to the airport. He's on his plane, ready to fly home. He's like, I'm done. Get me out of here, Bobby. Get me out of here. Oh, no. Björn has left the building. As Rogue does find HeRoMaRinE, does find Gabe. Going for the initial SCV. SCV should be safe and sound. Okay, Gabe does hold. Behind this, we have a third CC before Starport, so economic follow-up here out of Gabe. Meanwhile, Rogue going for a Ninja expansion. Okay, that I was not expecting. But Rogue expanding over on the right-hand side of the map here. Okay, you have my attention. Este Rogue. Here we go. Wonder if Gabe will do battle mech like he was against Lambo. If you heard us speaking on the matches in the lead up to this series, we were all in unison. I say we all, like the casting couch was also discussing it as well, talking about how like we do expect to see mech here out of Gabe, and we have seen Rogue fall and falter against mech in the past. For now, we do have our Cloak Banshee follow up, and our eyes are open for additional factories. Oh, double eBay, we're going into bio. So at least for the Last Fantasy, something that was also discussed on the casting couch that I do want to echo as well, they were talking about how Gabe, he was looking a little more stronger and he had a little more freedom on some of these larger maps, and I do agree with that. They said if he has more room, that translates in my mind to larger maps like Lost Fantasy, maps like ley lines as well, what we're getting into in the later half of this series. Remember, game 1 is Lost Fantasy, game 2 is Torches. On these smaller maps, I do expect bio, but on the larger ones, mech would make more sense. So I do think it's going to be map dependent, at least in my mind. Obviously, we'll see what Gabe brings to the table, but in my mind, later in the series is when mech is going to be a little bit stronger and is going to have more strengths. For now, though, we are going to be zoning back that Overlord. And if you recall, we were also discussing about how Rogue, like, he's had time to prepare. Again, they knew that they were going to be facing off each other yesterday, and because of that, Rogue, I'm sure if he didn't watch it live, I'm sure he was already watching Lambo's games, and he's aware of the potential mech. Meanwhile, massively counterattack. Hellion's out of position. SCV's going to be going down. Ooh, this is a brutal start for Gabe. Ay, 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 9, almost 10 SCV kills. This should not have happened. This should not have happened. Gabe, he was out of position, and brutal damage dealt, and Rogue, he will take a lead, bearing in mind that he already has 3 base saturation, and because of his ninja base, his mineral line has been safe, he has not been harassed, and he will have a boosted economy. Almost 70 workers already here for Rogue. Getting a macro hat trick, getting him to 4 bases, again, like the early third. I said the early third, it was more of a standard third timing, but the hidden third base here is, so far, paying dividends here for Rogue. It's building up. Banshee's in towards the main, and Rogue, he's aware of the Banshee play. Spores are in position. Yeah, rough transfer. 4 drones going down. Nice damage so far here by Gabe. Takes on 4 drones. Pulls away. It does pull away. And we can see Rogue is embracing Lingbane. He's going pure Lingbane into Ultra Tech Infestation, but he's skipping Hydras. So again, we've seen this rise in popularity over the past couple of months. We're skipping Hydras, we're skipping any other form of tech as purely Lingbane. We can get some safety Infestors just to be safe. Otherwise, as we do switch on over here to our player POV, but otherwise it should just be Lingbane into towards that Hive, in towards that Ultra Cavern, and Vipers, of course, for support as well. So we'll keep an eye on Rogue. Banshees going back to the main. Queens, they do respond to the set Banshees. Making the way into set main. So far is keeping up. And again, it is not on Rogue to be aggressive with this. Again, he's taking. He's taking up. The pit is done. There it is. Hive is on the way. Getting into his Hive tech. Building up his own Lingbane army. Nice spotter links here by Rogue as he is trying to get a read on any kind of move out. As he does respond to everything here. It's the initial Reaper. There we go, Drops moving in. I was trying to get a read to see if Rogue was getting any safety infestors. The answer is no. The answer is he is not. He's just taking. is just taking up. At the same time, behind this Gabe, he's not going for an 8 racks. He is taking his gases. He's going for a second factory. From here, he should be going for a 4th CC as well. So he's building up into a longer game. He is macroing up, which is going to benefit Rogue. It means that Rogue is going to comfortably get into his hive. Here comes the first push. We're moving out at 9 minutes. But pushing onto creep is not going to be easy here for Gabe. Especially with all these speed zones. True. Jesus. I mean, we rarely get to see games on Last Fantasy, but these speed zones here in the center make it so difficult to push into. Yeah, tanks are late to siege. Marine's going to be going down. Rogue has to back off, has to take it slow. Morphing in more Banelings, morphing in more Zerglings. From here, he backs off, does go for another morph in. Tanks once again getting caught out. Yeah, the tanks are caught. Banelings, they roll on forward. Oh god, and Gabe, he will lose everything here. He has some nice splits, but the tanks did already fall. He lost the backbone to his army. Rogue finishing up his Banelings. Ultra Cavern's on the way, getting to 3-3 upgrades. I don't think we've yet begun Adrenal, but it may not matter. May not matter here. As Gabe's still trying to force his way through the center, Widowmines have burrowed. We get some okay connections, but there's just not enough supply here. The numbers are not in favor of Gabe. And supply is not there. Banelings are connecting, catching on Marauders, getting us around on the army. Rogue is overextending a little bit here. As from here, Rogue, he has to back up. Backs off, he pulls away. Yo, borrowed Banelings in the midst of all of that. So here come the rest of the upgrades. Kindness Plating, +3. We're still missing +3 melee. And Gabe is still rallying forward. Where are the Banelings? Yeah, without Baneling support, this is still a rough fight here for Rogue. Yeah, forced to fight prematurely. Gabe, can he break through? Like right now, he's catching Rogue teching. Remember, Rogue is investing into upgrades for his Ultras and Ultras themselves, which are quite expensive. The problem, though, is that Gabe, he has no Ghost Academy, right? He has no Ghost Tech. It's purely Marine, Marauder, Widowmine. So Ultra's going to be a big power spike for Rogue once he gets more of them up and running. So Gabe's still rallying in. One man shot goes up. A bit of an awkward engage for the Ultras. They have to go the long way around. But they do arrive. Yeah, they collapse on the army. Gabe has to pick up. He has to get the hell out of here. Oh. As Widowmines don't quite connect. And here come the Ultras. Yeah, they barrel their way through. Oof. Even forcing friendly fire with said Overseers. A +3 was forgotten. We did notice. I was keeping an eye on the gas count of Rogue. He had the gas for it, so +3 is going to be delayed. But regardless, Rogue's upgrades are still solid. And Gabe, he still has yet to take up. Like, there's still no Academy, still no Ghosts. The supplies are still close, but I do favor these Ultras. The Ultras are getting out of hand. Does go for a counterattack on the right-hand side. Oh. Getting into the mineral line. SCVs are falling. Oof. Yeah, Widowmines, they're not connecting. The Ultras, they shut down the main army. At the same time, Lings, they're still wreaking havoc in the mineral line. More SCVs going down. And Rogue has done it. Rogue, he's done it again. That power spike with the Ultras just a little bit too much. And again, Gabe, he was never ready for it. GG gets called. And Rogue, he takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Rogue was at his weakest when we saw Gabe was pushing as Rogue was taking. We spoke specifically about the moment where Rogue, he was taking into the upgrades for his ultras and ultras themselves. That is when Rogue was at his weakest, and that is when Gabe had the best opportunity to break Rogue, but he wasn't quite able to pull it off. He wasn't quite able to break that defensive line. He had some nice trades against the Zerglings, just because he was forcing out, he was being able to force engagements before the Banelings were quite ready, but once the ultras kicked in, that was game. That was game then and there. Again, Gabe, he was not taking up, he was not going any further, whether it was into Ghost or into Liberators or into anything else. He was stuck on Marine, Marauder, Widowmine, and he was overwhelmed. GG. GG, well played. With that, Rogue takes the lead, and now we're getting into game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Torches. Let's go. Let us go. So we're getting into Torches. He held on longer than I thought. I mean, it's also because Rogue wasn't aggressive. Like, Rogue, his win condition that game was just defend. Into ultras. So that's why, like, Rogue, he was taking that more defensive stance. He was absorbing these attacks from Gabe while taking up. And then when he got his ultras out, then he could be aggressive, and that's when he snowballed out of control. But here we go. We're getting into our next game, and we'll see if Gabe can bring it back on Torches. Let's go. Here we go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Torches, we have our South Korean Zerg player. We have the red Zerg. It is Rogue for Team Falcons. And in the top right hand corner, we have the German Terran player. We have the blue Terran. It is HeRoMaRinE for Mouse. Let's go. So we have our ZvT, we have game 2, and welcome one and all to Torches. Torches, another unorthodox map in the map pool. It's a rare sight to see, especially in this matchup. I'm curious, what is Gabe's plan? We have seen some very cheeky builds on Torches, specifically Araxes. Araxes, especially if you expand towards your opponent, Araxes can be very powerful. At the same time, something that we've seen from the side of Zerg players that we're seeing here is gasless openers into roaches, into roach all-ins. If you recall, we saw this in Lambo's series against Gabe as well, where they also played on Torches. So do you see what I see? No gas. No gas from Rogue. He does go for a hatchery into pool. He does go without any gases. Gas is just now being taken. Because this gas is so late, we expect Rogue to skip link speed to go into a roach-based opener into roach aggression. That's what we're expecting out of Rogue. As Rogue, you can see, is mining and expanding towards his opponent, taking that triangular third. And again, this is very reminiscent of what we saw at Lambo, just because of the map itself. For those who are curious, we would often see these gaseous openers on maps like Radisson Station, for example, maps like, not Golden Aura, Eldorado, that's it, or maps like Eldorado as well. Maps where you can securely expand on 3 bases without having to worry about Hellion Harass, just because of the terrain, just because of the map layout. Oh, meanwhile, there won't be Hellion Harass. Gabe going for a 2-1-1. I do like this. So decent. I see second racks in the production tab, 2-1-1 at a Gabe. Now remember, the rush distance by ground is very short on oh. Hello. That's not a 2-1-1. That is a 3 racks. That's even more committed here. Bold move at a Gabe. This I'm a little bit this is more committed. This I'm a little bit concerned by. But gee, it's not a 3, it's a 4 racks. Okay, getting up to 4 racks is hyper aggressive here from Gabe. He should be pushing without medevacs. It should be a move out here. 4 racks, stim, combat shields, a very strong bio timing. And can this break a play that opens roaches? That's my concern. Assuming that we have a roach one here, which, I mean, that is my assumption from the side of Rogue. For now, Rogue has been droning. He's droning, he's making more queens, going lair first. This is greedy from Rogue. Now, I'm assuming that Rogue is going into roaches. If Rogue goes into fast spire, if he goes into more gases and goes for a spire into mutaplay, I'm pretty sure Gabe just insta-wins. So, I'm a little bit concerned here from Rogue. Okay, Roach Warren, thank God. So Rogue, he's going for the Warren. At the same time, he stayed on 2 bases a little bit longer. He's going for the gold base as his 3rd, and he's going to be going for Roach defense. Now, depending on how many corners Rogue cuts, depending on how greedy he is, he can defend with Roaches here. He can shut this down, but it's going to be close. It is going to be close. We can see Rogue, he does threaten the scouts. The Overlord does dip in, and he will see Marines, but only Marines. And based on what Rogue is seeing, this looks like a 2-on-1. This is not. We haven't revealed enough here to make it apparent that there are extra Raxes and how committed this is. Gabe may even just pull the boys with this as well. You might be wondering, pulling the boys in TVZ, pulling the boys is viable against Roaches. Against Banelings, of course it is not, because Link Bane doesn't take that many Banelings to shut down SCVs, but against a Roach-based composition, like, SCVs can do quite well tanking. However, she just got his denied. Rogue, he sees nothing. He sees a couple of extra Marines, but you can see that Gabe, he's intentionally hiding his Marine counts. And here he comes. Yeah, here he comes. He rallies everything across the map. There we go. He does pull the boys. As we mentioned, like, you can, like, this is viable against Roaches. And now he sees no SCVs. Yeah, now he sees, now he knows, but it might just be too late. Gabe is coming in for the kill. Now he cannot waste his time here. Like, this third base is just buying time. He has to go for the kill. He has to go for the natural. The third base does not matter. We'll kill the third. But he has to keep going. And Gabe, he's getting caught with what? With his the pants are down, Papi. The pants are down. Stabs in, that's a kill, not a cancel. Takes down the queens one after the other. The boys are here. The Miles. Ooh, they do graze the army. But we have to pull the boys as well. Rogue has to pull the drones. Roaches are trying to hold on. SCVs are going down. He's running out of Marines. And Rogue is holding. No shot. He's barely holding on. And as we mentioned, Gabe, did he spend too much time at the third base? Like, time was of the essence. Oh no. And Rogue, he survives. He holds. He didn't lose any drones at all. Aye, aye, aye. And things are looking bleak here for Gabe. Not like this. Not like this, Pappy. He's forced back. He's forced to macro. He's down in workers. I mean, sure, he killed the third base, so that does not matter. Yeah. He was so close. So close. As he's dancing with the army, he's going to get surrounded, though. There's no way out of this. Yeah, every Marine goes down. Again, I love the build of choice from Gabe. The execution, in my eyes, was a little bit lacking, though. Like, he was completely all in, so, like, we gotta go. You gotta send it. And now Rogue is snowballing out of control. Yeah, boys are being pulled in one last moment of desperation. There's 2 Marines left. Contamination on the Raxes. GG gets called, and Rogue, he will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Rogue, he will extend his lead here in the series and is up 2-0. But as a reminder, we saw something similar between Bjorn and Zan, where Zan was up 2-0 against Bjorn, and then Bjorn began the comeback. We'll see if Gabe can do the same. Again, when it comes to the build of choice, I actually really liked it. I liked the idea of going for the 4X, of pulling the boys. If you remember, we were even discussing pull the boys before he did it, just because we do see that be quite successful here in this kind of game state. And he was able to hide the build as well, but like, I'm still thinking about the third. I'm still thinking about the time that was spent focusing down the expansion. Every second that was passing was helping Rogue, building up more Roaches, building up more Queens, more Ravagers as well. Every second was in favor of Rogue, and again, he took a little bit longer than he otherwise would have liked to have gotten into the natural. GG. GG, well played. A shout out to Rogue as well for buying time, right? He was able to throw down an Evo chamber. He was able to wall up that wall off, of course, the mineral wall. Able to wall off, able to buy time. And with that, we're getting into game 3. And I'm hoping for a back and forth. I'm hoping for an extended series here, but the pressure is on Gabe. Let's go. As we're getting into that third game. Here we go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the, top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Zerg player, we have the Red Zerg. For Team Falcons, it is Rogue. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the German Terran player, it is HeRoMaRinE. For Mouse. Gabe is sitting in 2 time zones. He's so big. That's why he needs 2 watches. So chat, who is Gabe? Gabe is HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE is Big Gabe. Este Gabe. I'm going to be commentating for 9 hours straight today as well. Yeah. Thankfully, these are shorter broadcasts. We're used to like DreamHack Dallas or Home Story Cup where the cast is like, 12 to 15 hours long. So this is very tame in comparison, which I'm thankful for. Very thankful. As we have our initial openers, this time Rogue is taking our gas. This time standard opener out of Rogue. Hatch gas pool. Meanwhile, Gabe is going for his own standard opener as well. Racks expand. Into the initial Reaper. And welcome one to Leylines. Leylines is one of the more standard maps in the map pool. If we were to see mech, it would be here on Leylines. Or at least this would be a good candidate for mech instead. Bearing in mind that when it comes to the rest of the series, I believe Game 3 is Leylines. I think Game 4 is Tokamak. I'll double check. Yes, Game 4 is Tokamak. So, Leylines and Tokamak, these are the 2 maps where I lean towards mech more for Gabe. But, again, it's been a bit of a shaky series so far, and we'll see if he can get there. We'll see if he can thrive with his mech. We spoke earlier that a lot of it would be riding on the maps themselves. There we go, Gabe does get first blood, kills a drone, that should not have happened. Nice starts. Behind this, Gabe going for a 3rd CC before Starport. Economic opener out of Gabe. Also, I see Bikini Love in the YouTube chat. Don't be a clown, baby. Don't be a clown. Oh, hello. As we were discussing the possibilities of the builds from Gabe, but that is going to be Lair first out of Rogue. An insanely fast Lair, by the way. That's going to be a 330, 320 Lair timing. Jesus. So really fast Lair here from our Zerg player. Meanwhile, I believe Rogue did skip link speed, so he's going for the earlier Roach Warren. And with that faster layer, you can go for earlier Roach speed, or you can even go for something cheekier like Nidus play even. We'll keep an eye on Rogue, but again, just really fast tech. Faster than normal. Reaper Hellion poking in. Behind this is going to be Viking first, not a Banshee. So let's go Viking into delayed Cloak Banshee. Interesting. The Viking does allow Gabe to hide his build to hunt down the Overlords. And we're still waiting for the follow-up tech. Roach production has begun. So far just building up his own Roach Ravager. There we go, Roach speed is on the way. Extra gases are being taken for Gabe. We're waiting for the factory. We're expecting it. I mean, the problem here is that we already have like a Roach base opener out of the Zerg player. There it is. There's that factory. So as we had assumed, we were waiting for Leylines and Tokamak. There it is, Mech. Mech is on the way from Gabe. If we can make this assumption, so can Rogue. This might also be why Rogue did open up with such a fast lair to get into fast Roach speed. And this can lead into a Roach all-in. So we'll see how hard the timing hits. Hellions, they attempt to dive. They're going to be shut down. Nice wall. Nice defense here by Rogue. Again, Rogue shutting this down so hard, so well so far. As Gabe is going to Hyperfight Rotor, so once again going Battle Mech with Banshee support. Overseer checks the third, and we'll head into the main. We'll also scout the rest of the Raxes, sorry, the rest of the factories, I should say. There we go, does confirm mech. And here comes the Roach Army. And I'll be honest, I worry for Gabe. I do worry for his ability to defend against this. The Banshees will help for sure. As Rogue is going to Roach Hydra. Okay. Roach Hydra on the horizon. Roaches, they do sneak out across the map. They hit the third. Mining is going to be denied. They're trying to break through, trying to break down the front door. Ooh, he does break through. Yeah, the cooldown supply was a little bit too late. Boys are being pulled. And SCVs are going down, and this is critical damage. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, so many SCV kills. And again, Rogue just reading Gabe like a book. Going into the fast lair, going into Roaches, well ahead of time. Assuming, anticipating mech, and here he just punishes. He punishes so hard. 34 SCV kills. Again, Gabe just a little bit too predictable with his play, at least here on Leyline specifically. He had some quirky builds. Like, again, I still really appreciate what he did on Torches. I loved the 4X, but in the end, wasn't quite able to pull it off. And that is 37 SCVs. That is critical damage. And sure, the Banshees will eventually clean all of this up, but that's what the Hydras are for. Remember, it's Roach Hydra out of Rogue. Building up those Hydra upgrades, getting to Burrow, getting to Tunneling Claws to harass across the map. These Banshees have got a lot of work to do. They have a lot to catch up on. As how many Hydras are out? That's the question. There's a couple of Queens. There we go. The Hydras have arrived. Oof. They take down one of the Banshees. They take down one. And it's going to be a rough road to recovery here for Gabe. I think the best that Gabe can hope for is just a turtle up. Just a turtle to switch from battle mech into a more traditional form of mech, into just mass tank. But again, even then, it would not be an easy hold. Just because Rogue is going to be the first to max. And even if he did go into that more defensive style, that's why Rogue is going into Tunneling Claw Roaches. So he can harass, so he can poke in, and still find more damage. As Tunneling Claws is complete, the Roaches, I think they're burrowed. Yeah, they are burrowed. Are there turrets in position? I think there is a turret at the third. So yeah, the Roaches, they slip in. Oof, the Roaches, they slip into the bases. You can see the shade. You can see the shimmer as they head into the main and into the natural. At the same time, here comes the main army, so try prompt attack out of Rogue. As Roaches, they do on Burrow. SCV's going down. Rogue pushing between the bases. Catching the army rotating. Does get a tank. Yeah, one tank goes down, second tank as well. They're going for the final tank. And the Hydras, they deal with the Banshees. And with that, Gabe, he's completely torn apart. Once again, losing 18 more SCVs. And he was switching into mass tank, which I think was the correct call to go for, but unfortunately, just, was still torn apart. There were no turrets in position, no turrets at the natural at least. And with that, even though Gabe, he's barely holding on here, once again, it's at a cost. It's at a cost of his mineral line. As that is another 30 SCV kills. As Rogue, he is overextending a little bit. He's rallying into tanks. You gotta calm down. Calm down. Does pull away. Building up more Roach Ravager. Even getting contaminations off. And the Tunneling Claws, they continue. Yeah, getting into more bases. Yeah, with that GG, well played. He just gets pulled apart there. It was just a really rough position for Gabe, as again he was kind of read quite well in that final game. He was going into mech. We saw that Rogue, he went into fast lair, into fast roaches, into a fast roach push. Once he scattered the mech, he just went for his timing, and he had won the game then and there, or he had just crippled Gabe. It was just a really rough road to recovery there, and it was just so difficult. I don't know if anyone could try to recover from that position of losing so many SCVs. And Rogue, he will take the series. He'll take the series. He will eliminate HeRoMaRinE from the Esports World Cup. GG. GG, well played, congratulations, Rogue, he will claim the series. And again, it was a very interesting, very dynamic series as well, right? We had some unique builds in all 3 games. We had Last Fantasy being showcased, of course, with Rogue being hyper greedy with the Ninja third into a fast 4th as well. So we had a hyper greed out of Rogue in game 1. We did have game 2, Gabe going for a 2-base all-in. He went for a 4-ranks 2-base all-in, pulling the boys. And game 3, we had attempted mech out of Gabe as well. But Rogue was able to shut him down, and with that, congratulations, Rogue will advance on.
Thank you very much, boys and girls. I am here with Rogue and Maddox. Rogue after a clean sweep 3-0 against HeRoMaRinE. Rogue, first of all, congratulations. I want to jump into that first game, Last Fantasy, Lost Fantasy rather. Last Fantasy, that's the one. I just want to make sure, it's not really a Zerg favored map. So what was your approach going into that first game in the series?
이제 이병현 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 첫 번째 질문은 이제 라스트 판타지라는 첫 번째 맵이 사실은 저거한테 그렇게 좋지는 않은 맵이었는데 첫 번째 세트 좀 어떤 경기를 좀 준비하셨는지 궁금합니다.
I think a better question would have been what led you to allowing Last Fantasy through the veto process? I think that would have been a better question, but sure.
되게 어려운데
Just because it's so rarely seen.
저가 괜찮아서 처음만 이제 빌드로 괜찮게 넘기면은 좋은 상황이 될 거라고 생각하고 했던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, it is definitely the map that Zerg struggles against the Terran, but that being said, if I will go to the late game, it's actually quite doable. So my mindset was just leave the openings as favored as much as possible and then go to the late game.
I mean, you managed to get to the late game and you managed to get the win in that first game. Now, when it comes to the second one, what inspired you to play roaches early on?
이제 두 번째 세트에서는 또 빠르게 이제 바퀴를 가셨는데.
I mean, the answer to that is Roach Base Openers are more viable on torches.
일단 히어로마린 선수의 메카닉이랑 이제 올인이 좀 무서워서.
We spoke about it during the game.
안전하게 하면서.
Just because you can go gasless on torches.
했던 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I was familiar with both HeRoMaRinE's mech and also earlier all-ins, so I think roaches were a solid start because it is actually a very safe build. So I try to counter as much as possible.
Okay, and you doubled down again on the roaches in the third game, and your opponent had a lot of banshees to handle that, so you didn't really have a lot of anti-air to use against them. So what was the thought process there in the third game?
이제 3세트에서도 마찬가지로 이제 바퀴를 선택을 하셨는데 마침 또 이제 히어로마인 선수가 이제는 또 염사밴을 하면서 사실 벤시 위주 좀 픽을 했잖아요. 그래서 대공이 좀 많이 부실했던 상황에서 이제 벤시 픽이 좀 까다로웠을 것 같은데 좀 어떠셨는지.
일단 바퀴가 발업되는 타이밍에 한번 찌르려고 생각을 했고.
Yeah, I think his answer is just going to be that he hit a timing before the Banshees were really influential. Very cool. Well, he crippled Gabe before Banshees were really a factor.
I was trying to rush the enemy base as soon as the roach speed is complete. So I think that being said, although Banshee is very formidable, but I thought I had timing there for a push, so I think that went well.
It definitely went well for you, a clean sweep. And now you have the chance to crush I want to say like crush your first key here at the competition. Are you excited?
이제 또 처음으로 이번 대회에서 이제 키를 또 부술 수 있게 됐는데 좀 기대되시나요?
그 바깥에서 들었는데 소리를 너무 커가지고 지금 좀 많이 두렵습니다.
It's like, yes, I'll crush everyone.
The key crushing, and it was so loud, so I'm kind of afraid.
Don't worry, it's I want to say like it's covered with it's covered. You're safe. Don't worry about it. We're gonna make sure that nothing harms you or anyone else. So, and also it looks pretty cool, and the sound is exceptionally loud. But boys and girls, that is a wrap on our second series of the day. Let's head on over to the studio and prepare to crush HeRoMaRinE's key.
Let's go. But yeah, solid responses. I do appreciate that Rogue was able to give a little bit more when it came to his answers. Specifically, if you recall, he at least did briefly say that he was very familiar with Gabe's all-ins and with his mech. We mentioned earlier that, again, Rogue had the benefit of watching Gabe versus Lambo in yesterday's broadcast, so that was kind of a factor coming into this, is that he was well prepared for that, so was very comfortable getting into ley lines, for example, which, again, he did it did feel like he was like hard countering mech at that point, and once he confirmed it, he was able to punish. So yeah, just really solid preparation there out of Rogue. And again, unfortunately, did read Gabe quite well. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more from Rogue in regards to game 2, in regards to what he thought about the build and whether or not he got caught off guard when he saw the boys being pulled, because it was a late scout out of Rogue. Like that was why I was favoring, or I was praising Gabe in game 2, because he did a great job at hiding the build and popping off across the map. But it did feel like the execution was a little bit lacking, just because he did spend a lot of time at the third base instead of pushing right into the natural. So it would have been nice to have heard a little bit from Rogue regarding the builds in game 2. But regardless, GG well played, and we will soon hear from the rest of the boys on the casting couch. Let's go. Let us go. Huh. Hold on, I'll set up.
It's very but yeah, I really do think that realistically, just Rogue looks really good. I'm super excited to see who he gets to play next, because I honestly think there's a good shot he makes top 8.
Yeah, considering how he's looking there as well. I mean, we know that if Rogue is on form, and of course it's been about a year or so since he actually came back or whatever, there was a slow build up, but it really does feel like Rogue may be peaking here on his second run, let's call it.
Yeah, okay, yes, yeah.
Sure.
I think that, obviously perfect time, right? It actually feels like Rogue came back so much longer ago. Am I the only one who feels that way?
Is it a year and a few months or something like that?
Year and 8 months?
I'm estimating.
Yeah, like, because he played like, I want to say he played in Dallas, and that was a few months after he came back from military, and that was Dallas last year.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, like a year and a few months ago.
It feels like it's so much longer, because I guess we've
it's been a year and a couple of months.
Expecting him to come back and excited for him to come back, I guess, is also what I'm thinking of.
All right, well, let's take a look at the bracket. And
Well,
see
in
what
my
is
mind, like the big breakout performance for Rogue was last year around October. It was last year October, which was Star Zagora, if you remember. That was the Star Zagora where Rogue was able to beat Clem. Remember, sorry, it wasn't October. It was like September, August, when he beat Clem with the Mass Overseer style, right? Like that was like his big kind of like breakout moment after returning from the military.
for the tournament here.
Yeah, and in terms of players we're kind of meant to see kind of go out round 1, Cyan was kind of in that list where a lot of people expected it. I think
Showtime takes down
PvP, maybe that
Cyan.
was going to be the opportunity, but it was not meant to be.
All right, well, let's head over to the B stream now and hear from what was going on over there with Mr. Cyan.
Here once again from the B stage for an update. Cyan has been eliminated. There was a lot of support from the Chinese audience here and fans. It's very heartwarming.
Yo,
to see,
Rody shall say
how they feel
rematch.
about
Let's
your
go.
run and also about the support that you got from them.
首先就是
there's
很遗憾在这次电竞世界杯中失利，但是呢，你在现场有很多粉丝在这边支持你，你有什么话想跟这些粉丝们说的吗？
感谢他们不远万里来过来参加看比赛。很遗憾这次没有打出我自己最擅长的对抗和发挥。这2场 PVP 对我来说其实挺头疼的，所以说
It is really cool to see like so many Chinese fans there to support.
希望他们在这里能玩得开心。
A huge thanks to all my fans out here who have traveled all this way.
So I'm loving the
across,
F91
across oceans to come and
image
watch
in the
me play.
background.
It's unfortunate that I have not played my best at this tournament. I felt that a lot of times I didn't really do my best in terms of and in terms of just economy and just how the game developed.
One base all in.
Unfortunately, PvP is a matchup that I am probably not very good at. So, and it's been a big headache for me. But I've also learned a lot from these games, and I'm going to go back and improve. And again, thank you all to all the fans out here.
I think you didn't have as much time to prepare as many of the other players here due to entering, later into the competition. And despite that, and despite you saying that Protoss versus Protoss wasn't your strongest matchup, I think that the casters and the audience were very aware that he put great fights both against Hero and Showtime, and the result perhaps is not a good representative of how good he played. So I think you can be proud, but it's good to know that you plan on improving and what is kind of your mindset moving forward and your plan to improve in the future.
就这边呢，因为我们也知道你这边，因为作为B 组，你可能这边准备的时间比较少一点，相对比起其他的一些选手，而且你前面
I would agree with his statements as well. When we've seen Cyan take down like Maru, we've seen him take down some big Terrans.
对战 Hero 对战 Showtime， 因为
I think I would say his PVT is the strongest matchup.
这个神族选手，就是也看得出你其实也有这个就是也发挥的也不错，就是也是有就是竞争能力的。就想问你，你后面准备怎么个去进步，怎么个去针对性的去加强你自己哪方面的一些战术呢？
事实上的话，因为很久没有打这种线下比赛了，尤其是像这么大的赛事还第一次来，我感觉在舞台上发挥的话，我就包括第2盘中那个陷阱，我其实想到他后面有陷阱，但是就一个冲头就跳上去了，然后我就感觉啊完蛋了，我怎么又犯这种错误了？就感觉还是线下的这种紧张让我感觉没那么平时那么冷静，容易发挥失常一些。因为我现在觉得可能是要调整好心态吧。也在实力方面的话，我觉得更重要的是发挥。我如果能发挥出来的话，我觉得是没啥问题的。
I think honestly a big part of it is just the nerves of being on a big stage because I haven't really played a lot of LANs since for quite some time. So being here at pretty much the biggest stage I've ever been to is definitely brought on quite a bit of stress and pressure and has led me to make a few errors. For example, in game 2 just now, there was one wave where I pretty much ran into a stasis trap. And it was a mistake that I normally would have made, and I was pretty angry at myself for that as well. So I think just in terms of the mental pressure, being able to adjust mentally towards playing on the LAN on a big stage is one of the areas that you work on. And just in terms of game itself, I mean, there are a lot of this. We've all clearly seen that there's a lot of areas that I do need to improve on. So I will definitely be putting in a lot more work when I get back.
Thank you very much, Cyan, and thank you, everyone.
Let's go.
All right, well.
It's key crushing time, but much love to Cyan. Much love.
Rogue will take
the Bappy Cyan.
HeRoMaRinE was able to crush 2.
Those that don't know Cyan, he's also a Bappy. Also.
They've all been exploded.
Also has a family.
Okay, I'm going to stop asking the question now.
Yeah,
it's all explode.
From me.
Yeah, snap
the
it.
moment you stop asking, it's just bend.
I know. Rogue's like, yeah, I'm done now. Oh. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I like that they put the audio in a bit popping.
Yeah.
All right, well, there it is. And who is the key man remains to be unanswered here at the Esports World Cup.
But we got Clem and Solar
coming on up here.
And Shin in the background.
Time Clem going up against Solar Wardinio. Oh, yummy, yummy.
What a matchup. As the official talent rotation organizer, I put myself in for this one at the first opportunity yesterday.
Nice.
So very excited to cast it.
Well, nobody else wants to do it.
What? I
mean the rotation, not the game.
Oh, let's not start talking about the rotation document because we are going to start fires in the green room.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's
well, you're very good, James. You're written down as desk host straight away.
I don't cause any problems.
I did it last year and I said never again.
loving Solar waving to us.
We have got ourselves a fantastic match coming up on the other side of this break.
All right, we're going to be cutting to a break. We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon after said break. See you soon. See you soon. Once we come back, we'll have a next series. It is going to be Clem vs. Solar. So we just showed them off. See you soon after the break. Let's go.